Our last and final contestant is Craig Mccracken.
It's good to be here.
What do you do?
I make cartoons. I make the Powerpuff Girls about these three little kindergarten-age superheroes who fly around and beat up bad guys.
Get a haircut, Mccracken.
Alright, so here's the deal. I love me some Wander Over Yonder, and from its debut to its final episode, I was hoping somebody out there would make a big old fancy video talking about how great it is. A review, video essay, whatever you want to call it, I would have been fine with it. But even now, I haven't found a single thing to my taste, so darn it, I guess I'm just gonna have to make that video. Not that I mind, I'll talk about Wander all day even if you asked me not to. This show about a talking orange spoon came from the mind of one Craig Mccracken, who's been behind some pretty amazing cartoons beforehand. The Powerpuff Girls is a classic people are still trying to sully the good name of today, and Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends was no slouch either. I see some people divided on the latter, but for me, if Foster's wasn't making me laugh, it got emotions out of me that no other show did and will always be an all-time favorite. But anywho, how did I first find out about Wander? Well, my memory is a bit fuzzy on that, but I do remember seeing it on the night of its premiere. Up in Canada, Wander first aired on Family Channel, which, barring original shows or the Odd Nick sitcom, was basically our Disney Channel before the Mouse House truly took over. Coming fresh off the heels of Phineas and Ferb Mission Marvel, we got a sneak peek of Wander with the episode The Picnic, which isn't the pilot, but to me, it's always gonna feel that way. The day after, I left such a glowing review of the segment in a Facebook status as shown here, but all in all, I liked what I saw. Wander later made its proper family debut on Sunday, October 13th at 2:15 p.m. and suffice to say, I don't recall seeing it much on the channel. Honestly, Phineas and Ferb was the only thing tying me to family at that point. I wouldn't get into Gravity Falls till 2016 and everything else was either a sitcom or a rerun of The Secret World of Benjamin Bear. From what else I can find of its presence, I see a listing here for another Sunday showing at 8:14 in the morning, so I'm guessing that didn't help either. Now when it moved to Disney XD Canada, that's where I saw Wander a lot. To boil this show down to basics, we follow the escapades of the titular hero and his best friend Sylvia, who hop from planet to planet, spreading good vibes and lending a hand to anyone they can, all the while crossing paths with the evil Lord Hater, self-proclaimed greatest in the galaxy, along with Commander Peepers and the Watchdog Army. And I'm just gonna get this out of the way right now, a laid-back, banjo-playing bumpkin and a feisty red-crested gal who carries him everywhere? These guys are intergalactic Banjo and Kazooie! Hater could even stand in for Gruntilda circa Banjo-Tooie, and I'm pretty sure a kazoo shows up in an episode. Oh yeah, there it is! You can't change my mind on this. Okay, where to start? Well, I want to talk about the characters. What is a show without great people to follow? And the main four make for one of the strongest ensembles of character I've seen. Each one is totally different from one another, while at the same time sharing a lot in common. Wander and Hater have vastly different outlooks and goals in life, but they both approach them in their own crazy, reckless ways. And Sylvia and Peepers may seem like polar opposites on the surface, but they're both tough, smart, and have to deal with the nonsense brought on by their screwball friends. It's something they actually see eye to eye on in a later episode, but I digress. I could watch these guys do whatever, wherever, and know just how they'd react to a situation. One of the most fun examples of this is with the episode The Void. Not only is it one of the best showcases of how insane this show's visuals get, it's a textbook example of what those animation folk call character study. Half the time things aren't getting imagined up, these two are literally in a void by themselves. The other half of the fun is seeing how Wander and Sylvia react to their predicament separately and as a unit. Then when they manage to get out, it's done in the most Wander-Sylvia way possible, with their love and support for each other overcoming all odds. And in the credits animatic, they tease Hater and Peepers coming across the void. And even with only 15 seconds to work with, that was enough to make me laugh and ponder, oh no, what are these two going to get up to in here? But don't worry, because if you want to see these two bounce off each other, they've got you covered with The Brainstorm. This one has Hater, Peepers, and the Watchdogs in a briefing room thinking about how they'll invade a planet without Wander screwing it all up. Every plan Peepers makes gets shot down by Hater, so Peepers comes up with another plan, which Hater shoots down again, and it just keeps escalating until by the end, well, I won't give it away here, but it'll will have you in stitches, don't you worry. And it doesn't happen often, but when you get all 4 of these guys together, the results are always fun. If I had to say who my favorite of the 4 is, it's gotta be Hater. He's a case of, he may not be the star, but the show is really about him, and that only becomes more apparent as the show goes on. It goes without saying, the voice cast is stellar, with the likes of Jack McBrayer, April Winchell, Keith Ferguson, Tom Kenny, but I do want to mention something I haven't seen brought up before. Sam Riegel served as the show's voice director and also plays Emperor Awesome, but from now until the day I die, it will always blow my mind knowing that's the same guy who voiced Rex Raptor in Yu-Gi-Oh! And was the original voice of Tristan before Greg Abbey. Crazier still, he even wrote some episodes for Wander's 2nd season. Think about that on your next playthrough of Ninja Turtles Battle Nexus or .hack/GU Volume 1/Rebirth. Yeah, now that that's done, I just want to talk about how beautiful this show looks. With all the planets and other locales they visit, the scenery and backdrops change all the time, and no 2 locations are ever the same. One 11-minute segment could have several set pieces in it, then you account for all the people and creatures in them, and don't even get me started on the color palettes. Characters sport a different color scheme depending on the environment, time of day, or what have you. I must have seen at least 5 or 6 hues for Sylvia in the first season alone, and there are plenty of other shows that do this too, but Wander is not afraid to get bold with them, to the point where you say, whoa, that is a really different blue. I haven't seen color choices done like this since my life as a teenage robot, and wouldn't you know it, both shows share an art director in Alex Kerwan, so I'd say it's more than a coincidence. There's never a dull moment with this show's looks, which is shown off expertly in the intro. You're gonna have to watch this thing like 6 different times to really soak it all in. I should mention Wander's music is fantastic, and the intro's always been one of my favorite parts of the show. Even the 30-second version has its charms, but I have a soft spot for the Korean intro. Something about how the singer sings the doot-doot-doot-doos I find so pleasing to the ear. Wander was originally envisioned as a serialized show with 22-minute stories, but Disney wanted a more standard 11-minute format. Works better for reruns and junk. One can only wonder what could have been, but even with those limitations, Wander found ways to squeeze in bigger stories. Typically, that came in the form of giving episodes part 1 and 2 subtitles, but there's some other workarounds too. One example is the day/the night, 2 stories that work fine separately, but paired together make one big adventure. It's also another great showcase of Wander and Sylvia's personalities, only this time it shows how they fly solo, as their other half is asleep for most of the given segment. And by the end, everything resets and could honestly go on in an infinite loop. The other one is the holiday special, The Gift and The Gift 2, The Giffening, but don't let the numbering fool you, 2 comes first. One half shows Wander spreading holiday cheer to Hater's ship, and the other half shows the whole ordeal from Hater's perspective. There's a lot of overlap between these segments, but how they're framed is what sets them apart. While Wander's falls more in line with a typical Christmas episode, Hater wants nothing to do with these gifts, and his short is framed like a straight-up horror film. And as you'd expect, it's hilarious. I remember seeing Hater checking his mirror before driving off, and I was laughing so hard. Wander's loose continuity originally had me a bit miffed, but there were advantages to that choice too. I mean, take a look at shows like Batman the Animated Series or Samurai Jack. Both shows toy with light continuity, but lots of episodes are self-contained. You could show someone almost any episode out of order, and 9 times out of 10 they'd be totally fine, and that didn't stop either show from being as widely regarded as they are. If anything, I say it helped, and that goes for Wander too. Even on Disney Plus, I don't think the order they have is the production order or how it first aired on TV, but like I said, it's not the end of the world, or the galaxy, so to speak. But you can tell they were aiming for something bigger with Wander, and by the time season 1 ends with the rider and the credits roll, something changes. With Season 2, things get ever so slightly more serious for Wander. There's an overarching story, more character developments, and an honest threat to the galaxy as we know it. And much of this comes in the form of everyone's favorite space babe, Lord Dominator. In Wander's world of whimsy, Dominator was brought in as a little wake-up call, like if you made Hater completely competent. She destroys planets and causes misery wherever she goes, and you'd think someone like that would bring down the mood of a show like Wander, but she's just as much of a dork as anyone else here. She's like the mean older sister that has fun in her own sick way, and when sharing that brand of fun with other people, they don't take it too well, and she usually ends up killing them. But the passion she has for her work, as awful as it is, you can't help but find her charming.
Okay, calm down, Dee. Focus. Game face. It's
go time!
Every time Dominator was on screen, it was always a treat. I remember when a new episode premiered, people flocked all over Dominator's scenes, even if she only showed up for like 10 seconds. And remember when everyone thought she killed Emperor Awesome? That was crazy. Also, her theme song is partially based on the walking sound of an AT-AT, or AT-AT, from Star Wars. No joke. But if you think Dominator is all this season has going for it, you would be wrong. Season 1 was good, but just see what the Wander crew can do when they know what works and what really works. The animation is crazier, the concepts are more experimental, and we get some serious insight into each character. Backstories, revelations, and dynamics being tested to the limit. Even some characters you wouldn't think twice about get a moment to shine. There's this one character called the Black Cube that's got an episode in here, one I never even saw until this year, but it was so good. Other favorites include the cartoon, a love letter to cheesy 80s animation, the matchmaker, which involves an actual love letter among other things. And you want to talk about experimental? The Breakfast takes what the Day and Night did and amps it up to another level in half the time. It's like one of those things you'd show to animation students mid-term, except nobody is confused by the end. That's an Annie Award well deserved. Still, if you want to talk about Wander's very best, look no further than the musical marvel My Fair Haiti, which may be my favorite episode. This baby fires on all cylinders, and in the months after it aired, I was singing the songs, acting out the choreography. I couldn't get enough of it. Now, full disclosure, as someone who enjoys writing lyrics himself, I can get a bit critical with rhyming choices, and there's a few lines with slant rhymes or no rhymes at all. Usually that drives me nuts, but these songs are so much fun, I'm able to forget all that and enjoy them. The clear winner among winners here is Dominator's song, I'm the Bad Guy. That is what you call a villain song, and if Dominator didn't make you feel things before, she certainly did after this little number. And that's not hyperbole. Just a few days after this aired, people were flocking to an upload of her song on YouTube. Next thing you know, they were doing covers and going on about Dominator like she was this lost angel that evaded them. Even now, that clip has over 18 million views! Million! After My Fair Haiti, people were talking about Wander more than ever, but little did we know things were about to come to an end, with the official word dropping just 5 days later. Craig Mccracken broke the news via Tumblr, and that gives me a decent enough transition to talk about his blog. During Season 2's run, I stumbled upon this page, and one of the many highlights were Mccracken's Tonight on Wander posts. In the hours leading to an episode's premiere, he'd share some insight on its origins and talk about the folks who were instrumental in its creation. This was the first time I got to see a creator talk about their show in real time, and I happened to be in school for animation at this time too, so I was totally suckered in. At the time of this video, the page's last update was in 2017, so coming back here is like a time capsule. A few days before the big news went live, Mccracken spilled some thoughts on serialization in cartoons and where Wander fell into all that. In the early to mid 2010s, more cartoons started dipping their toes into more serious and complex topics, with season-long story arcs and heavy continuity. Adventure Time, Steven Universe, Gravity Falls, this is what I like to call the 2010 cartoon starter pack. During Wander's development in 2011, Mccracken asked Disney if he could do this with Wander. They initially said no, but were more open to it with season 2. Still, Mccracken wanted to stress the final show wasn't as deep and complex as some hoped it would be, and to appreciate it for what it was rather than what it wasn't. As a creative type myself, I went through my own phase related to these thoughts. I've got my own ideas for characters and stories, and in 2015, I was beating myself up over the fact they weren't as deep and emotional as some of these shows, namely Steven Universe, as that was the only frame of reference I had back then. I don't mean to make this all about me, but when it came to Wander, a show more focused on being silly and telling jokes, I was worried people would pass on it. Scared shows like Wander didn't have a place in the 2010s cartoon battlefield. But after thinking about it some more, I came to a realization. Elements like those are certainly awesome, but even if a show doesn't delve into them too much, it doesn't mean it's not worth watching. A character like Foghorn Leghorn isn't loved by people because he came to grips with something terrible in his past. People like Foghorn because he makes them laugh. We see something in Foghorn that's in us, or we just find him a fun character to watch do things, and he's been around since the 1940s and we still love him. Now, I don't know if that made as much sense as it did in my head, but I guess what I'm trying to say is there's always a place for shows like Wander. And just cause it was a wacky, nutty cartoon most of the time, that doesn't mean the show didn't have something to say. To quote the show's story editor, Frank Angonis, at its core, Craig built the show on some pretty strong central beliefs. Good will always conquer evil. Good things come to people who do good. It's never too late to change, and it never hurts to help. Frank mentioned lessons like these are often dismissed as juvenile or kid stuff, but they have just as much of a place in our world as some of the more mature sounding ones. Now, this video isn't about to get all super serious on you all of a sudden, but I'm pretty sure Wander helped me embrace some of those beliefs in my adult life, and honestly, it doesn't feel half bad, but that's just me. You know that phrase, absence makes the heart grow fonder? Well, I'm here to say Wander Over Yonder makes the heart grow fonder. And would you believe me if I told you that was the basis for making this video? I just came up with that name on a whim and thought this is just too perfect not to do anything with. And I think that's kind of appropriate for Wander, isn't it? Just doing something for fun, spreading a little positivity with a little bit of silliness. I don't know, what do you want from me? So if you're still with me, I hope I got across why I think Wander's such a great show. I think there's something for everybody in here, whether you're a fan of old school cartoons, new school, fun music, trippy art, or the downright stupid. And while it may have been canceled before it could explore every avenue, like if Hater was once a space chimpanzee, it's nowhere close to being forgotten. I don't know if you caught this while watching Avengers Endgame, but there was a sly reference to Wander in the opening scene with Hawkeye's family.
Mustard or mayo? Mustard or mayo?
Mustard or mayo? Mustard or mayo?
Hey, you guys want mayo or mustard?
2 mustard, please.
You can argue with me all day on this, but you will not win. And now it's finally on a worldwide service where you can watch to your heart's content. So if you haven't watched it yet, I'm happy to say you have no excuse now. So fire up Disney Plus and give it the attention it should have gotten. But what is Craig and some of his buddies up to now? Well, we've got Kid Cosmic, which has already aired its 2nd season on Netflix with 1 more to go, and that's got all the serialization and heavy-hitting moments you could want, while still being a fun show for all ages. I even have a friend of mine from college who got to work on it, and if they're watching, I just want to say, what's up, dude? Can't wait to see your work on the Bob's Burgers movie. But to bring things back to Wander, don't skip on Wander, seriously. It's a show that knows what it wants to be and isn't afraid to stick to its guns, even in the face of adversity. I still hold out hope for a final season or even a movie to tell more stories, but until then, I'll be happy with what we got. And if you watch it, I hope you will too. I think that's a good way to end on things. I was originally gonna say something like, if you wander over yonder, check out this and that, yada yada yada, but I think we can do a bit better here, don't you? Thanks so much for watching, everybody. I really hope you enjoyed what you saw. If you did, feel free to give this video a like, share with a friend, subscribe, check out my social media pages, check out my Patreon page, all that stuff that I always go on about. And if you've ever watched Wander Over Yonder, tell me what you think of it. What's your favorite episode? What's your favorite character? Favorite joke? Whatever the case, feel free to give out your opinions in the comments below. I'd love to read them. And while you're here, feel free to check out the videos I got on screen. I enjoyed making them, and I hope you guys will you'll enjoy watching them. Whether you've seen them before or you just want to see them again, I hope you enjoy them. And with all that said, I will see you guys next time. Later!